clear there, and then it goes on to note. It goes on to note that an alteration.
It's clear there. That's from asking you. Testifying as an expert. It's clear though.
Is it increasing?
Well, I mean, you have to distinguish the earlier language of the later language. The later language says alteration of a non-conforming use. So they're distinguishing out now what is an alteration, and they're separating it out from earlier where they said enlargement and extension of it. They said any alteration of the non-conforming use shall make the use more closely adhere to the intent and purposes of this ordinance. Application for alteration of a non-conforming use shall be made as a request for special use. I would concur that if you're altering the use, you're trying to make it more structurally safe, sound, whatever the reason may be, you can do that by special use. The board shall ensure that no alteration is permitted which would increase the degree of non-conformity. So we have to compare if an alteration in itself is allowed by special use, but increasing the degree of non-conformity would not fit within that definition of alteration. What would that be? You'd have to go to earlier in the language when it separates out the building or structure is not enlarged or extended. It's got to be by size. Okay.
Now, in conducting your research regarding the non-conformity of the parcel, did you have a chance to research the characteristics and rural nature of this particular neighborhood and surrounding area of these districts?
Once again, I provided for the results of my neighborhood analysis, which, once again, like I said, out of the 99 lots, there was actually a few more than 90 lots. There were some municipal properties which I didn't consider because they were not conform. I looked at 100-something lots, only considered the 99 lots that were residential in character, excluding municipal properties. Out of those 99 lots, 97 were which permitted both the R8 and R20 by right single family, only 2 of which had 2 distinct separate residential structures on the parcel, being pre-existing non-conforming. Secondly, in regards to intensity and so forth, clearly the property as it stands now is a little more intense than the average sized parcel. That being because it does have 2 separate residential structures. But this will increase to some degree, as previously noted. Coverage now, total building coverage with accessory structures and everything, on average is about 14.7% for this R20 neighborhood. This will approach 20.8%. And it goes on, floor area, if you consider total footprint size of all structures, the average neighborhood is 2,400, a little over 2,400, because it's going to go to a little over 3,700 and on. But the results are in.
So the question is it a negative or is it a positive? Because testimony was presented that this was a de minimis increase and did not pose a negative impact to the surrounding neighborhood. So I'm posing that question to you.
Sure. I'm speaking from a land use perspective in regards to a non-conforming use, which, as counsel noted, I don't want to belabor because he had basically stated what was in the report too, that a non-conforming use imposes an unfair burden on the property owner that has the non-conforming use as compared to the general neighborhood. It's a detrimental to the neighborhood and so forth and so on. That's all in the report. Council has already referred to that. But what this does is intensify that. We're supposed to be trying to abolish non-conformities. This is intensifying. So from a land use perspective, it's making it even more so out of character with the surrounding neighborhood as reflected in those numbers.
And what about the negative implications of expanding this non-conformity? Are there any negative implications other than what we've already explained?
Well, once again, I would say we just continue to maintain a non-conformity, which is contrary to the goal.
What about altering the general character of the surrounding area and neighborhood with regard to the comprehensive plan?
Sure.
Regarding that?
I would say it goes contrary to the point of trying to maintain the rural character of the town, so the rural character of the village area. This is an R20 district. It's contrary to the purposes for the R20 district, and so forth.
Excuse me. Okay, sure.
Yeah.
I have no further questions from Mr. Pimlico. If the board does, counsel.
I just have. Sure. I won't apologize to everybody else who's waiting.
according to the plans, would have a negative impact on the rural nature of the community? You said that 5, 6 times?
That was to be contrary to what the intent of the R20 district is, which is to maintain a single-family presence.
Okay, but you said the rural character about 5 times. That is contrary to the rural character of the neighborhood.
That's correct.
Of the island. Okay. I don't understand. You've got a garage, you've got an apartment in the garage, and you're filling in one little corner. This affects the rural character of Jamestown?
It's true that the density right now is 2 units on this property, no question. But you're intensifying, appearance clearly, you're making it, if it's not a principal residential before, which it is in my opinion, it clearly takes on more so the appearance of 2 single-family homes on a property, which is an intensification, and that's not what which been planned for in the rural character, having 2 truly dominant single-family homes on the parcel.
So you're telling me this highly developed neighborhood of R8 on one side, I-20 on the other side, with every lot within essentially a quarter of a mile developed, is going to, if this lot, if that infill is made in that corner, you're going to change the rural character of that community.
Well, you're also filling in a little car garage. So you're going, you keep referring to accessory. The only accessory component of this, wait, you gotta let me answer the question.
I want you to answer the question.
The only accessory component of this dwelling is going to be a 1-car garage. The rest is all principal. So it's a principal structure. That is correct. 2 principal structures on one property is contrary to the rural character as is called for in the comprehensive plan and in the ordinance.
So if Mr. and Mrs. Stanley got no relief from this board, but constructed something similar to the plans before this board today, which they could do without any zoning relief as long as they stayed on the existing footprint, would that affect the character of the neighborhood?
You have to rephrase that question. I didn't understand that.
Well, the building is there, correct?
Correct.
They can remodel it. They can change the siding to red cedar with different windows. They can put a new roof line on it, correct?
Right.
Change anything?
I believe so. It's not in the historic district. That's not on the way. So they can alter it. Well, I mean, depending on the definition of alteration, but they can make improvements to it. That would be modification.
Now, let me direct a question to you about your client. Your client lives next to you. Okay.
We're going to speak to the attorney.
Well, yeah, I think this is just argument. Why don't you just...
Well, I'll move it right along. I said I had a question.
This is just argument.
How does anything the Stanleys are going to do affect your client? I'm not talking about the community. Your client next door.
That's all the attorney.
No, that's for you.
No, my question is to how this doesn't conform with the ordinance of the comprehensive plan.
That's what I wanted to know.
Thank you.
Would you have a problem with the, you have a problem obviously with them eliminating one of the garage doors here, right? Is this a principal structure now?
I would say so, yes. It doesn't meet the definition of accessory.
Okay, so your definition is a principal structure now. So that, even if we do what they want to do, it's not going to change the use.
It's going to, no, change of use, no. We're not changing from one non-conforming to another. I never said that.
My understanding is it's not proper use now, being a second principal structure.
Right, I mean, this would, if the gentleman came in today, and this was just purely a garage and wanted to do, even just the size it exists today, he would need a use variance. It's a prohibited use. We understand that, yeah. So it's clearly an expansion of the prohibited use.
Mr. Pinnacle, you did prepare a report on the company exhibits that were presented to the board, is that true?
That is correct.
And you would ask that those be incorporated in with your testimony as they were presented to the board?
That's correct.
I have no further questions.